The Sacramento Kings have pulled the trigger on a move that many people expected, and that's them waiving DeMar DeRozan, which instantly makes the six-time NBA All-Star one of the best players available on the open market. With Sacramento exploring trades and couldn't find the right route for DeMar DeRozan, what is the open market going to look like for him? We're going to talk a little bit about that. Plus, Rui Hachimura is officially going to the Los Angeles Clippers, and Quentin Post gets signed by the Memphis Grizzlies. We'll talk about all this plus more right after this.
Welcome to the number one place for your daily basketball news and analysis, NBA Central.
What's going on, basketball fans? Welcome to another episode of the Full Court Podcast. My name is Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow us at the Full Court YT on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go ahead and get into this content for today, y'all. So DeMar DeRozan has now officially been waived by the Sacramento Kings, which means that they're saving on his full salary. They are going to have to pay him a portion of the salary. And so, I don't really even know if it's a question to ask if waiving him was the right call. It was definitely the right call. I think, especially once they explored all the possibilities of trading him, all the interest around there, it now allows the Kings to get under both aprons, which I think is really good. They get him under the books. DeMar DeRozan is fit with the Sacramento Kings. It's no longer made any sense. And the Kings have now shifted to a new timeline with Domantas Sabonis could be moved as well. And as they shift towards that timeline, just having a player like DeMar DeRozan and keeping them over the apron and just being more restrictive in their moves, it just didn't make any sense. Now that they're under both aprons, it allows them to have more flexibility to aggregate salaries, take on more salary, that type of stuff. It was just a smart move in regard to it. And it also allows DeMar DeRozan to find the better value. There's no doubt that when they signed DeMar DeRozan to his deal, that they've lost value on that. And at the time that sign and trade was happening, that completed to send him there, it was always a question of what they were doing. I get it that they were trying to build with De'Aaron Fox at that time. You looked at trying to get another big-time scorer there with him, but it just never really made sense on paper for the play style that they were trying to do or anything like that. And so now they'll have $10 million on their books as far as dead money for him, and that's the reality of it. Keep in mind, he signed, what was it, a 3-year, $81 million deal to come over to the Sacramento Kings, and they just never really got the value out of that. Waiving him just feels like, you're not getting a return on the investment that you made, but we kind of all knew that. Now, DeMar DeRozan is still productive. He's not the all-star that he once was. We all know that's going to happen. And DeMar can go on and help another team, but at this point, the Kings and the best value that they had there this made sense for them financially. It made sense for the direction of the team. It just made sense for so much that was going on there, and that's it. And so now the question becomes about where can DeMar DeRozan go? Is he going to, find a contender that he can help boost, or is wherever he's going to go as an awkward fit? When you have DeMar DeRozan on your basketball team, when he's on the court, you have to play a certain way. But I do think that there are some contenders that DeMar DeRozan does make sense for. He gives reliable half-court scoring. His mid-range game still matters in playoff settings, as we've seen throughout that, while people have tried to completely eliminate the mid-range, and he can close games. He knows how to draw fouls. He knows how to stabilize a bench unit if you get him to embrace that role. And I think now, DeMar DeRozan is going to have to be faced with some mortality and realize you're going to have to accept that bench role, player. That's what you're going to have to do. So whether it's going back to a team like the Toronto Raptors where he can actually pair with Kawhi Leonard to give them a scoring punch, or he goes to Golden State if they strike out on the LeBron thing as a vet minimum, goes to Golden State and helps with that, with Steph being able to play off ball with him be on ball. If it ends up being a team like the Detroit Pistons that I think can use a reliable bench score, especially in the off-Cade minutes, and he also is going to have to facilitate, those type of things are there, right? Teams that need late game creation, that need some stability coming off the bench, and that need another on-ball creator, DeMar DeRozan can make some sense for those guys. But I will say this, you're going to have to make sure that DeMar builds into your vision of how to use him. And that's just the reality of it. Now, Pop was able to do it with the San Antonio Spurs to a degree. DeMar's going to need touches. He's going to need to be in rhythm to stay maximized in whatever role that you use him on. So you want to sell him and get him to buy in on your vision, because if you make a move for him and he doesn't buy in or it doesn't fit and you guys don't agree, you can wind up in the same boat that Sacramento Kings were in. Now, it's going to be less of a risk because I don't see any team maybe even giving DeMar DeRozan a multi-year deal at this point. He may be one-year deals, much like Russell Westbrook was for a while. That could be where DeMar DeRozan is, and that's what it comes down to. And I think DeMar's still in a league that still prefers 3-and-D wings over the way that DeMar DeRozan plays, even though I do think his style can help if you know exactly, if you are honest with yourself about what you're getting with DeMar DeRozan, the fact that he's not a really high up-tempo player, so you're probably not going to play that style when he's in the game for you. And the wrong role here for DeMar is going to make him way less effective. But the right role, in the right situation, and one that you get him to agree with, he can still help a good team. There's just no doubt about it. DeMar DeRozan can still help a good team, but it can't just be about adding the name of DeMar DeRozan. It has to be fit specific. So whatever team is going to be interested in DeMar, as long as they know what he brings and the fit is there and they understand how to use that, then I think you'll be fine with DeMar DeRozan being on your team. That's just my personal opinion. You guys can let me know how you feel on that part down below. Rui Hachimura is officially now going to the Los Angeles Clippers, so staying in LA but switching buildings. And the question now becomes about, is this a sneaky good signing for the Los Angeles Clippers, or does this become something more, right? Like, listen, I think when you look at it, we know that Rui gives size, he gives shooting, he gives a proven playoff scorer as well. 2 years at $28 million is a really reasonable contract for a player that has real postseason production and experience. His playoff number shows that he can absolutely punish mismatches, which is a really good thing. And the Clippers had a void there. Now, the bigger question for the Clippers comes in at is that this isn't really changing much for your direction. Like, he's a really good role player, but I think I know what the Clippers are doing. At least I have an idea what I think the Los Angeles Clippers are doing. And this is how teams can use cap space in kind of non-traditional ways with the new apron rules and things like that. Now that when you look at the Los Angeles Clippers roster, right, they have guys like Keaton Wagler, who they plan to build with, absolutely. You have Darius Garland, who I still think you probably plan to build with because you've gone younger, right? You got Grady Dick, Bobo Miller. You got these young players here that you can develop. We'll see what they do with Benedict Mathurin. But then they also have players like Brandon Ingram, like Brook Lopez, now like Rui Hachimura, right? You have these players that are solid role players for what they do. Brandon Ingram, I guess you can say, is a little bit more than just a role player. But you have these players that I think teams could be interested at adding at the trade deadline, depending on the right deal and things like that. So why the Clippers weren't able to stack a bunch of picks in the case of like Kawhi Leonard and something like that, you now have these players that, hey, a team that needs some forward depth and shooting come at the trade deadline because they're gearing up for a playoff run. Maybe Rui Hachimura makes sense for those guys. If a team is looking to make a big swing and has a hole on their team, maybe Brandon Ingram makes sense for those teams, right? So I think what the Clippers are doing here, in my personal opinion, this is anything that I've heard anywhere, anything like that, is that they have stacked players now that you can move and try to get more assets back at the trade deadline if you decide to do that. Rui Hachimura signing this new contract. He's not eligible to be traded, I think, until December, which is fine. He'll be eligible by the trade deadline. Brandon Ingram's contract of over $40 million, with next year being a player option, so it's going to be an expiring contract next year, could be enticing either at the trade deadline or this upcoming offseason. And I really think that's what you're looking at. I mean, you can even call out players like Derrick Jones Jr., another role player that you could look at. Chris Dunn, a player that has really solid defense at the point of attack and guard. Maybe you can do that. So I think that the Clippers have kind of given themselves an opportunity and a way to where you can move off of some of these deals. And if it doesn't work, cool. You got 2 years left of Brandon Ingram, 2 years of Rui Hachimura, 1 year of Brook Lopez as well, 1 year of Derrick Jones Jr. So you can start aligning some things and seeing where they're kind of looking at stuff for the future. And I think that makes a lot of sense. Again, it's not the perfect game plan, and it may not work out. The teams may not bite on it, especially if they didn't bite at the trade deadline. But I think you're just keeping your door open in regards to that, and that's really what it is, right? So I think at this point now, this kind of ends the Clippers. We heard that the Clippers could be interested in Peyton Watson. I think this really, it doesn't necessarily close the door on Peyton Watson, but I think that it kind of does. It may just be too complicated at this point, especially with we're hearing that Denver is a team that's going to match any offer on Peyton Watson now at this point. They kind of ended, I think, a lot of teams' interest in it, and now Peyton Watson and Denver are probably going to come to an agreement or a sign and trade, and that's what teams are looking for as well. But that's what the situation seems like it is, and I think that that's perfectly fine in regards to it. No harm, no foul in regards to that. And the Clippers, the Clippers are going to have to figure out their new path forward, and they're going to have to hope that, like, Keaton turns into a star or something like that for them. Bobo Miller, a guy that I really liked in this draft, and then they're going to be able to give some minutes to Grady Dick too. But even though I think that we'll see what happens with Grady Dick, I'll leave it at that. We'll see what happens in regards to that one. But overall, we'll watch it, right? And then the last topic before we get out of here, Quentin Post has officially signed an offer sheet with a 3-year, $30 million offer sheet with the Memphis Grizzlies. Now, the Golden State Warriors now, I believe, have 2 days to match this. And so should the Warriors match it? That's what people are asking, right? Of course, Quentin Post gives the Golden State Warriors a stretch big that they can use to open that floor up a little bit, right? I think losing a young front court talent as well for the Golden State Warriors is something that you may not want to do considering where you are with your roster and your future assets, right? Horford and Porzingis are not long-term there. They're not durable enough there. You need some depth there as well. And I do think that the Warriors need those affordable developmental pieces that once this thing ends with Steph and Jimmy and Dre and, you know, whether you add LeBron or DeMar or anything like that, you want some young players around that you can try to, you know, that have learned from that and built over that time. And I do think like Memphis trying to steal him, it creates a depth loss that you're not really, I think, in a position to replace. But then again, $30 million is a lot for a player that fell behind others in the rotation already. And while Quentin Post has had some flashes and some moments where you look at Quentin Post and you're like, hey, this kid could actually turn into something and develop it, there's still been some signs as you look at him like he doesn't really like to get in the post. He's a big guy that likes to really kind of live as a, in a lot of ways, like almost a shooting guard at times, with the way he likes to drift out to the perimeter. And it's not like you ever really saw a season where you're like Quentin Post has had a breakout or anything. Like he's been solid at times. Like I said, it's been solid games. This is a guy that was a second-round pick in 2024. And the Memphis Grizzlies, if they want to stack players at that big depth, especially with them having Cam Boozer, so be it. Let them do it. But, you know, I don't think it's really a huge loss if they do let him go. It just makes it a question in a little bit of ways about what's going to happen in regards to that one. So we'll see. We'll see. Overall, I'll say this, right? It doesn't seem like Steve Kerr, like he's done with a lot of the young players to be there with Golden State over the last few years, like he fully trusts Quentin Post. And that could lead them to moving on. You got a player like Axel Lindenberg in there who I think is going to be a lot more trusted because he is a two-way player. And while he's not a center, he is still somebody that can stretch the floor. He can put the ball on the floor. He's physical. He plays more defense than we've ever seen from Quentin Post. And so they may want to put that development time in those minutes into that, especially if they do go out and acquire a vet like LeBron or DeMar DeRozan. So we're going to see what happens in regards to that one. And let's just see, right? But that's really it for today. You know, some little minuscule LeBron news in regards to like the Cavs, the Warriors, the Sixers, the Heat, the Timberwolves, all being teams that could very well be interested and have a chance to sign LeBron. But I think at this point, personally, I'm just ready to get the LeBron shit over and done with. Like, I'm just ready to get it over and done with. Let's move on. Let's just get this done. Not because of any knock to LeBron or anything like that, but it's one of those things that it seems like it could hold the league hostage in the conversation part of everything. Whereas in reality, LeBron's going to go to wherever he wants to go to. And I think the better part of the conversation is once he makes that decision on where he wants to go, then you talk about what that means for that team and their chances to win the championship. Because I can make a case for the Nuggets, which I think basketball fit makes a lot of sense. I can make a case for the Timberwolves, pairing with Anthony Edwards and LaMelo, bringing there. I can make the case for the Cavs and the Heat, two former franchises that he has familiarity with, and the Cavs being the full circle moment. And, of course, the Warriors, a team that I would actually want to see LeBron go to because I want to see LeBron and Steph play together. But at the end of the day, we all know these things. So why spend a lot of time talking about that when in reality, I think the better part of that conversation, like I said, is what happens after LeBron makes his decision on where he's going to play next. So we'll see what happens in regards to that. But make sure you guys sound off down below. Let me know your thoughts on all the topics that we talked about on today's episode. Make sure you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel as well. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode or a live stream if we decide to go live. Like I said, the comment section is completely for you guys to go off on. So sound off down there, down below. You can follow us at The Full Court YT on every social media platform. You can also send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns. NBA Central Show at gmail.com. And then lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We are the #1 spot for everything basketball and NBA related. And like I like to end every episode on, I'll see you guys the next time I feel like making a video. Probably tomorrow, hopefully. No more today. Let's hope so. I'll catch you guys then. Peace, y'all.
Been a presentation of the Breaks Media.